You've heard of Frisians, Arabians, but what about 6 rare horse breeds from Denmark? One was once reserved for royalty, one carries ancient genes from the Viking era, and one is the Nordic twist on the legendary Desert Arabian. These names have nearly vanished from the history books, yet their hoofbeats once echoed on battlefields, royal processions, and even Olympic arenas. These are 6 living treasures you've probably never heard of, and today, they're ready to tell their story. Number 6. Jutland Horse. Overshadowed by glamorous breeds like the Frisian or Andalusian, the Jutland Horse is one of Denmark's oldest and toughest workhorses. Standing around 5 feet 2 inches to 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighing close to 1,700 pounds, the Jutland isn't built to impress. It's built to serve. In medieval times, it pulled cannons into battle. Later, it became the backbone of Danish farming and trade, most famously hauling the iconic Carlsberg beer wagons through the streets of Copenhagen. The Jutland is gentle, calm, and incredibly loyal, like a biological engine that never quits. But because it lacks the flashy looks or showy performance of other breeds, it quietly faded from the spotlight. That's why it lands at number 6. Not because it lacks value, but because the world forgot it in favor of the glamorous. Compared to the Belgian Draft, the Jutland is slightly smaller but lives longer and is easier to train. And next to Germany's Rhenish German Coldblood, a massive, heavy breed, the Jutland is more agile and far more beginner-friendly, especially for older riders. Once a symbol of labor and resilience, the Jutland now survives in just a few hundred purebred individuals tucked away in preservation farms. But right after this gentle giant comes a horse that'll stop you in your tracks, with a spotted coat like high fashion and a noble past full of surprises. Number 5. Nabstropper Horse. With its striking black and white spotted coat, the Nabstropper is one of those horses that grabs your attention instantly. But few people know that this eye-catching breed actually comes from Denmark. It was first developed in the early 1800s at the Nabstropper estate, starting with a uniquely spotted mare owned by a Danish nobleman named Frederick. The Nabstropper ranks at number 5 not because it lacks beauty or charm, but because, despite its bold appearance, it never became as widespread as today's modern sport horses. Often confused with the American Appaloosa, the Nabstropper stands a bit taller, around 5 feet 2 inches to 5 feet 5 inches, and weighs about 1,200 pounds. It's not just stunning, it's also smart, calm, and incredibly trainable. Perfect for beginners and even therapy riding. Compared to the Appaloosa, the Nabstropper moves more gracefully and is favored more in dressage and show performances. When lined up with Nez Perce horses or performance breeds like the Oldenburg, the Nabstropper brings an artistic flair. Stylish, unique, and refined. And if you think you've seen beauty on 4 legs, just wait for top 4, where Denmark's very own Olympic dancer is about to take the stage, the Danish Warmblood. Number 4. Danish Warmblood Horse. With a refined frame and a stride that moves like a dance, the Danish Warmblood is Denmark's top sport horse, regularly seen at the Olympics, especially in dressage and show jumping. Standing between 5 feet 4 inches and 5 feet 7 inches tall, and weighing around 1,200 to 1,400 pounds, it's built to perform. Deep chest, straight legs, proud, high-set neck, everything you'd expect from an elite athlete on 4 legs. It ranks number 4 not because of a lack of talent, but because it's still relatively unknown outside competitive circles. While horse enthusiasts often mention Germany's Hanoverian or the Dutch KWPN, few realize that Denmark has developed its own world-class Warmblood, carefully bred in the 20th century, rooted in the historic Fredericksborg line. Compared to the Hanoverian, the Danish Warmblood moves with more softness and flow. Against the KWPN, its gait feels rounder and easier to manage, especially for intermediate riders. And when lined up with the Selle Francais, it's less fiery, favoring balance and composure over raw intensity. But if you thought Denmark only produced show horses, think again, because number 3 is all about speed, fire, and full-throttle energy on the track. The Danish Trotter is up next. Number 3. Danish Trotter Horse. The Danish Trotter isn't flashy, but it's one of the toughest racehorses in all of Europe. Standing between 5 feet 3 inches and 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighing around 1,150 pounds, it's lean, long-legged, deep-chested, and built to run. This breed was developed in the late 19th century when Denmark began crossbreeding American standardbreds, Russian Orlovs, and English thoroughbreds to create a cold-weather trotter with strength and stamina. Despite its success on the track, the Danish trotter remains little known outside Northern Europe. That's why it ranks number 3. Not because it lacks ability, but because it's quietly excellent. Compared to the standardbred, it's taller and smoother in motion. Versus the French trotter, it's easier to ride, especially for older or less experienced riders. Calm on the outside, but explosive when needed. This is a horse that doesn't show off, it just shows up and wins. And after this speed-driven powerhouse, comes a horse tied to royalty and ceremony for over 400 years. Get ready to meet the Fredericksborger. Number 2. Fredericksborg Horse. Some horses are bred to run, others to perform. But a rare few were born to serve royalty, and the Fredericksborger is one of them. For over 400 years, this breed has been a living symbol of power, ceremony, and noble Danish tradition. Developed in the 16th century at the Royal Fredericksborg Stud Farm, the Fredericksborger was the go-to horse for Danish monarchs and European nobility. Standing around 5 feet 4 inches tall with a proud neck and strong compact frame, it was often seen in royal parades, formal processions, and symbolic equestrian displays. Its coat, typically roan, dark chestnut, or silvery gray, gives it a classic, unmistakable look. Today, the breed is incredibly rare, with only a few hundred purebreds remaining in preservation programs. Though no longer at the center of modern sport competitions, the Fredericksborger still carries itself with quiet authority, calm temperament, and a strong, almost human-like bond with its rider. Compared to the Andalusian or Lusitano, it's less flamboyant but more grounded and reliable. Next to Austria's Lipizzaner, it doesn't perform as theatrically, but it's easier to handle, more approachable, and remarkably steady in real-world settings. And finally, we arrive at number 1, a legendary crossbreed where Nordic spirit meets desert speed. Meet the Danish Arab, noble, proud, and unapologetically elite. Number 1, Danish Arab Horse. The Danish Arab was developed right in Denmark, a rare cross between purebred Arabian horses and local Danish lines like the Fredericksborger or Thoroughbred. The goal? To create a horse that captured the noble spirit of the Middle East while thriving in the cold, rugged climate of Northern Europe. Standing around 5 feet 2 inches tall, with a compact, athletic build, deep chest, and smooth gait, the Danish Arab moves with desert elegance but carries northern strength and stability. It's versatile, ideal for endurance riding, performance events, and even therapeutic riding. It ranks number 1 because it represents a perfect fusion of two worlds: speed and stamina, grace and grit, beauty and adaptability. It's not a widely known breed, but its unique genetic value and real-world usefulness make it something truly special. And sometimes, the horses no one talks about carry the biggest stories of heritage, survival, and timeless beauty.